So it is important to communicate about climate change because climate change is an issue that cuts to the heart of how we live, how we work, how we play, how we relax in 21st century society. To not communicate about that is then to miss an opportunity or to squander the chances to learn more about our role at the human-environment interface. It's an interesting question to ask if climate change's communication is effective now. Relative to the amount of funding and the amount of coordinated work that's been done in the climate sciences to better understand the changing climate around us, I think my answer is no. And so there is a tremendous amount of work that remains to be done to improve and smarten up the ways in which we're choosing communication strategies. So I'm not just a researcher, not just someone who can sit in an ivory tower and critique communication strategies in the 21st century. I'm actually working on these issues in some small part at my university. Beginning in 2012, I have partnered with a theater professor and with an evolutionary biologist to form a group that we call Inside the Greenhouse. We've since had a communications professor join us as well. And together we work with students, both undergraduate and graduate students, and then work with partnering agencies to experiment, to analyze and evaluate the effectiveness of communication in certain arenas and with particular audiences. And so we've been engaged in projects that involve things like how to bring out the human stories and tell those human stories about why climate scientists and climate researchers do their work, what it might be some motivating experience that they'd had earlier in life. And that's a set of projects with a partner called More Than Scientists in the United States. We've also been experimenting in comedy, and at the risk of trivializing what are critically important issues, we're trying to find new pathways into engaging with audiences in humorous ways, but then to communicate important and critical, very serious issues. There are young people in this world now who were born into a conversation happening in the public arena that is unlike those before them. So if you were born after 1988, when this became part of a public conversation, you've become conscious in a time where these sorts of things were being discussed and wrestled with. I think that we're picking up on some of that in terms of concern in the United States, in terms of concern and awareness around the world. And that can then translate to and embolden the kind of work that we do complementarily to try to better understand and work with and experiment on how we can effectively help people understand and empower them to take action in the face of this global challenge.